Hey guys, welcome to this episode, the new episode of the Vuto podcast, only on YouTube. I think you're going to enjoy this interview. We had so much fun. I want to keep it a surprise until I reveal who it is that I interviewed this episode, but I know you're going to enjoy this. We worked together for a lot of years, and so enjoy this episode of the Vuto podcast. All right, well, welcome to this newest episode of the Vuto podcast, and I have some very special guests with me here today, and I know you guys are going to really enjoy this interview. They were actually part of the first Elvis and Friends show. I believe that was in May of 2000, and I'm real excited to have them here, and we're going to have a good time just talking and chatting about things. So I won't tell you who they are, but let's see if you can guess as I put them on. Put them on screen. Hey, boy, I didn't know you guys were bringing your costumes. That's awesome.
The rest of the costume is at the cleaners right now.
Oh, I didn't know you cared that much about your outfit.
The first and only time it's been there.
I don't think I could even fit in my costume right now. I mean, come on.
Hey, I know how you feel. Well, of course, it's Josh and Jarrod, the Blues Brothers. I don't know. It was 2000, wasn't it? The first Elvis and Friends show?
Yeah, we did our, when we started the whole legends-based type show with everyone. Yeah, that was our first one with a full band and all, but we did a rehearsal show.
And she brought us on.
Yeah, with you, and Dee had us up there, and we just did it to tracks for that show. That was our first appearance at Memory Theater.
I remember. I'd forgotten about it, but yes, I do remember that. We had like a talent show or something, and
yes, and I think there was somebody that wasn't able to be there, and we just thought it was a good idea to kind of do a dry run and see how the Blues Brothers went at Memories, and boom, there we went.
Awesome. Yeah. So now you guys, are you both from? Is it Wallen or Maryville or?
Well, Blount County. We both went to Heritage, but Jarrod had moved in. I can let him talk about that, but Jarrod had moved in after his parents kind of went their separate ways, and he ended up with his mom closer to Heritage, and then I was raised on that side of Blount County, so it's kind of on the edge of Walland, but just outside Maryville for both of us.
Yeah,
Right. So you were born and raised there, not born. Well,
yeah,
okay,
pretty much
in Wallen area, and actually, maybe we'll talk about this in a little bit, but Josh Waters, who I wound up working with at some point throughout the years, a guitar player and of course a friend of your guys. He's also from Wallen.
He is Rocky Branch boy.
And Jeff Joplin.
Oh, right, and Jeff Joplin,
who is also a county commissioner here in Blount County now.
That's right. Oh, well, so I'm going to ask you some questions because I know people are just going to be really interested in some of these things I wrote down here to ask you. But first of all, and I don't know, should I pick one at a time? What were you guys like as kids? I mean, like, let's say in high school, were you into sports or into the Glee Club or, I don't know or the chess club?
Well, I spent majority of my time in juvenile detention, so I wasn't able to attend many things. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was gonna say. And the reason that's funny, let's just kind of give a quick. You are, what is your position now? Because I've lost track. At the time we worked together, you were a detective for Blount County, but now you've kind of progressed.
Yeah, it was a sergeant after that, and then now I'm a deputy chief here at the sheriff's office.
Right, and that's why
Which
we
is
were laughing.
where I'm at, I guess. I mean, that's why.
Right. You're at work,
Yeah.
and that's why that's so funny that you said you spent your childhood in a detention center. Okay, that's awesome. So I interrupted you. What were you as a child? What was your interest?
Josh?
If we're going all the way back to like being children, my interests were pretty much drawing and anything art related, and I really didn't get interested in performing because I was the oldest of three boys and kind of sheltered in a way and super shy. And I think it was we did a talent show like my 7th or 8th grade year in middle school, and Mom had wanted me to try to do Elvis because Mom was always a huge Elvis fan. And I mean, I really hadn't tried to sing very much other than at church. But just started, trying to get that sound and to copy that sound, and wasn't very good, but still had a good time doing it. But once I did it that first time and saw the attention that it brought, it didn't take me long to get hooked. So that was back in 7th grade, I'm guessing.
Right, and I'd forgotten that you also do Elvis, and you, Josh, you do Johnny Rivers, and who else was that? And
yeah, that was much the extent of it. Elvis brought along certain opportunities to do other things, because that was really the first time that I was ever in front of people or did anything performing wise was as an Elvis impersonator, tribute artist. And when I met Jarrod, Jarrod was actually, and a lot of people don't know this, but Jarrod was actually, I think, the second or third guy that I had done the Blues Brothers with, because it was just, kind of fun. I really liked John Belushi, and actually had another friend from high school introduce me to the Blues Brothers and the movie and everything. And we did it a couple of times, but he was 4 or 5 years older than me, moved away. And then me and Jarrod hit it off really fast in high school. And we started doing it just for fun. And from the Elvis thing, kind of spawned other opportunities, like I said, one of which was the Blues Brothers, because we had a lot more fun doing the Blues Brothers anyway than doing stuff on our own, I thought anyway.
And even when Josh was doing Elvis, before we started doing the Blues Brothers, I was his Charlie Hodge on stage, basically. I handed him his water and his scarf. That was my job.
That's awesome.
With me.
It's interesting. What's interesting to me is the and wherever they do, a Legends themed show, that the Blues Brothers, I think, are the only performers that weren't like real people.
Oh yeah.
So John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were made up these characters, right, to sing and play the blues, and they're so entertaining, obviously, that they've been a staple. Actually, they've been the two main staples in most Legends themed shows have been Elvis and the Blues Brothers. And so they're just so entertaining. And you guys, I mean, I just remember the reaction from the crowds, and you guys were always right up there, so entertaining with their energy and, just what they did and entertaining. And it was just such a great act. And I don't know, I know none of us have been really performing with the pandemic, but is it something you're still doing or still interested in?
We haven't done it in a while, but I mean, who knows? The right opportunity and the right venue,
right?
I probably would entertain it. Would you, Josh?
Absolutely. I think I was trying to think. It was 2019 was the last time we had a show together, and it was at Travis's place at the main event, but I can't remember exactly what time of the year it was. It seems like it was about a month or so after you had been there. Because I don't know if he's doing it now, but if you recall, he was bringing in certain special acts throughout the year, different throughout the year. And obviously that changed last year. But he was doing that at one time, and I knew, you had been there a couple of times, and I think but to answer your question, last time we did it together.
Okay. Well, and then I remember actually asking Jarrod at some point, like what the people at his job, like, are they supportive, or are they like, oh, what are you doing? And I remember you mentioning that they kind of looked at it as a PR kind of thing, or they were kind of encouraging it, right? They liked it.
Absolutely. And for me, we were very young then, right? We're 20 to 21, 22 years old at the time when we were doing it at Memories. So we were very young and we're full of energy. But yeah, at the time when because that was kind of my career in law enforcement at that time. I'd been there working here a few years, and then Memories kind of come open. But it was also a release in a lot of ways, because at work, my job, you see a lot of things that you can't unsee, you can't undo, and you see a lot of other people's problems. But when we got on that stage, and of course we put the sunglasses on, I became a different person, literally, when we were doing that performance. So in a way, I think it was a kind of a stress releaser to get all that out and open, and I think that helped me a lot, even dealing with stress in my career today.
Right. So, and also, by the way, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember a specific conversation, but I think I remember you guys, when you were out of dress, people sometimes didn't recognize you, right? Didn't realize that you were the Blues Brothers.
Maybe it was the fat suit Josh had on. I don't know what it was. But yes, that happened quite frequently. We would, be back there at the table talking with folks, and, kind of chummy and talking. And then once we go back and change, we'd run into those same people in the parking lot, and they didn't have a clue who we were.
Actually, a funny story. I don't know if I ever told you this about, Travis used to do, well, at least two characters. He did Conway, and then he did Hank Williams Jr. And whenever he did Hank Williams Jr., of course, we shared the dressing room, and we were always kidding around. But he told me when he put that beard and mustache on, he said, "Don't make me laugh because I can't smile because the beard and mustache will come off." So after the show, we were sitting back at the table, and he had done Hank, and he had all that stuff on his face. And a lady comes up and she says, "Oh, you guys were great, but I really miss Conway tonight." And so I go to the lady, "Yeah," I said, "the guy who does Conway and Hank Williams Jr. don't get along, so we can't have him here at the same time." That's just like, oh, and Travis is going,
oh man.
Yeah, but like you.
What do you hate most about being rich and famous?
I hate that I'm not rich and famous.
Of course, that was just kidding. But seriously, there is a certain amount of fame, be it local or whatever, that, has it been something that, you enjoy because it's part of the, the job, or has it been a kind of a pain, or any thoughts on that?
Well, I think, and Jarrod may have a different take on it. I think that I identified so much with that character and with that whole gig for so long, because quite frankly, Lou, and I think you'll agree, I know Jarrod agrees, there's a lot of musicians that would kill to have that gig for as long as we had it. We were very blessed. to have the long run that we did. I think, from if you take throw 1999 out, but 2000 to 2017, that's a long run. And like I said, I identified so much with that for so long. It was a little difficult to, although, it was all God's timing and other things open up and opportunities, present themselves. But at the time it was like, man, because it was cool to be able, to say, I work in Pigeon Forge at one of the theaters and have done so for time. And after that was over, it was kind of a drag for a while. It was a little bit of an adjustment, but like I say, other opportunities came. Jarrod had already established himself and his career with the law enforcement, so I can't speak to his transition from that. It may have been easier, may have been harder. I don't know, but for me, it was a little difficult hanging up, that hat from going. I mean, I think I guesstimated that we did probably 50 to 100 shows a year. And, that's pretty big. And then having that break when it's coming, but still when it gets here, it's like, this is different,
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to go back and do it all over again. And in so many ways, it was a great place, and we worked with some amazing people. We also worked with some different people, but what a great experience. And it does, it carries on with me today. And, there was people that I worked with that never even knew that I did it. And when people talk about it today, it's kind of weird. They don't know what it is, but a funny story that the guys here at work played a trick on me here recently. We have like undercover tags and stuff like that on our vehicles a lot of times. And I got my new registration for that vehicle, and it's registered to Elwood Blues.
Oh,
so I'm like, come on.
That's awesome. Hey, I have someone who wants to pop in and visit with you guys.
Oh no, who is it?
Well, you'll have to see.
Nick.
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
Look at you. You're all grown up.
Hey, I was just wondering, I'm trying to get these things signed. I don't know if you might be able to give me some signatures.
Nick, I was looking at that, dude. Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
Oh my gosh.
So what's the story with that? Were you getting people in the show to sign them? Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, there was a time when, me and Anna and Mom were at the show every single night. And every single night without fail, I would grab one and go through the line after the show.
Yes.
Ask these guys to sign it.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
You were just a kid.
They'd say, how much are you selling these for?
So
Well,
now, were we a good babysitter during all your childhood? Were we okay at that?
I'd
Now
say
having our own kids, I'm not sure we had your best interest at heart sometimes.
No, I think we definitely had fun. Taco Bell trips and rollerblading in the back parking lot.
Yeah, Nick, I remember we took your skateboard all the way to the top of that hill, and you rode all the way down. You rode all the way down to the bottom of that hill on that skateboard. I'm still impressed by that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember one of you guys telling me, I think as I got a little older, you were kind of nervous / excited to see if I would make it over that drainage grate at the bottom of the hill, or you just waited one time I would just eat it.
We wouldn't.
So I do want to bring up something because, throughout the years, we were always kidding around with each other and playing jokes on each other. There was one time that these guys, Nick, put you up to playing a joke on Mark, the Kenny Rogers guy. And first of all, what was it that you had a story, right?
Yeah, I had a story that I had made up that was a never-ending story. It just continued to loop. And, of course, everybody I would tell it to was working at the theater that you were headlining at, one. And two, I was just a little kid running around. So
polite.
Yeah, people would be polite, but I would just tell this story and they'd sit there and listen and listen and listen. And it just kept going on and on with no end.
So we learned real quick that that we could kind of put Nick up to stuff, and Nick would do.
Nick could do anything during that time, I believe.
We had a lot.
Still do.
I do remember the big lizard story. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys put him up to it, and Mark was just listening, and it was just going on.
Mark was sleeping on the couch.
Yes.
and one of these guys pulled up a chair right next to the couch. I mean, like right up to it. And so I sit down and start telling him the story. And he wakes up in the middle of it, dazed and confused. And, sits up and he looks around, and he's the only one there. It's just me and him.
You had way too much downtime back there sometime.
Well, right, because after your part of the show, the whole second half was the Elvis, and you guys were hanging out in the back.
But we were all very attentive, watching the monitor and listening and being part of your show.
We absolutely were. No, Lou, let me say this. Let me add this. I think, and I've even mentioned this to my wife, Leslie, before. I think back in those old days when we first started, because, man, I think back to how patient you were and some of the other cast members that we worked with, just had to be because of us and the things that we would put you guys through. I think you showed us a little more grace and were so patient with us, in part because we took to Nick so well. And, Nick kind of always gravitated to us. So that may or may not be true. I like to think that was part of it, but you were always very, very patient with us when we probably didn't deserve the patience.
Definitely.
I mean, of course, I appreciated you guys getting along with Nick and being so supportive. But you guys just, what you did so well, and there was never a question of, being embarrassed because it wasn't professional or anything like that. I mean, it was such a key part of the show, and anything else had nothing to do with it other than your performance. So, I mean, I do appreciate that, you got along with my kids and my family, but yeah, so.
And we put him up to a lot of meetings.
Yeah. So, well, great. Nick, you're welcome to hang out, and I know you're at work, and so whenever you have to take off, that's fine. But I just thought it'd be funny to have Nick come in and talk about that joke you guys played on Mark.
Nick, great to see you, my friend. Hope to see you in person soon.
What was that last part?
Said I hope to see you in person sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you guys a call next time I'm that way in Tennessee.
Yes.
Hey, Nick, can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
See if this rings a bell. This is another one that you used to do. And to be completely honest with you, sir, I have no brother.
That was and still is my favorite movie of all time. That's the one with Chris Farley and Matthew Perry, and I think it was one of Chris Farley's last movies. And you can ask Jeff Joplin, because one time we were in the car together for about a 4-hour drive, and I recited that entire movie start to finish to Jeff Joplin in the car on a drive.
Dude, that's amazing. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I was just a little recorder or something. I don't know. Just all these stories and lines from movies.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the other, I had another thing that, I know what it was. What? So you guys used to go out to Crystal's and get burgers sometimes and bring them back. And
Yes, that
there
was
was
a regular
one time,
occurrence. That was a regular occurrence.
right? But there was one time you went with Larry Branson, the Roy Orbison guy, and Dee didn't like the fact that you had left the theater and whatever. So
It was me and Jarrod and Larry and Joe on that particular trip, I believe.
Jerry Lee guy.
Oh, not with us on that trip?
I think so. And we got caught in the parking lot on the way back.
Because someone locked the back door.
Yes.
So Larry was the guy.
Under orders from D, the door was locked.
Yes.
So we had to face the music on that one. And I don't think she minded the fact that we slipped off and maybe got something to eat or whatever. But I think it was the fact that we were taking a little longer than what we probably have.
Yes.
So.
But you remember we sent Larry. Larry was the fall guy that took the brunt of it. We sent him to unlock the door.
He went around first to go through and unlock, and Dee caught him, and so it took him a while to get back there because she was kind of giving him an earful.
Bless his heart. Yeah, we ought to be ashamed.
Yes. Oh man. So what you guys did, of course, as you said, you were there for like 100 shows a year and for a good while, but you also did gigs outside of Memories, right? I don't know if
we did.
You traveled very far or it was mostly local or.
Well, it seems like there was a span there, maybe starting in like 03 or 04 up until probably 2009, 2010, somewhere around there, where it seems like we did a little more than what we did early on or even that we ended with. And I really can't put my finger on what exactly it was. I know, when 2008 came around, things started kind of getting a little iffy with the economy and stuff. And a lot of people weren't hiring live bands anymore. But up until that point, we would do a lot of stuff with some guys here locally in Blount County. Josh and Josh's daddy, Nick knows them, being two of the guys. And it seems like, what do you think, Jarrod? We'd probably do 5 to 10 of those outside of the theater a year?
Yeah, a larger events. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, I know one time you guys asked me to do a gig with you at the high school, right? At that, you went to that high school.
Yeah, that's right. At Heritage. Yeah, you sure did. You and Kenny did that with us, I believe.
Oh, right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So.
But we've been blessed to do several things with you, outside of the theater. We always, have had a good time. I mean, you let us tag along with you on one of your cruise events. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I forgot about that. Yeah, we did a Legends cruise and had our own group. Nick was there too.
You guys running the lights or something.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy let you help him or something, right? Or did he let you run him?
Yeah, I just ran him. Yeah.
Nice.
I probably didn't need to, but I think I just walked back there and said, "Oh, I know this show. Let me press these buttons."
That was a goal of ours early on, was to perform on a cruise ship, because at that time Josh or I, either one, had never been on a cruise. So being able to accomplish that and actually do the Blues Brothers on the ship was pretty awesome.
Now, so what about, what was it like, from your guys' perspective, obviously, because I have my own, but what was it like working with Charlie Hodge? He was a trip.
We always got to hear a lot of good stories, a lot of the same stories. But one of the things about Charlie that always cracked me up was when we had the old Bluesmobile parked up front, and it just sat there a lot. And he would come in every so often. He would be so upset that that piece of junk was sitting in front of the theater, and he'd let us have it and let everyone have it that was there. But that's one of my the good memory that I had with Charlie.
That was fun. I think me and Jarrod have actually had this conversation. I think we were both surprised to know that Charlie actually did know our names, and he did know. I think looking back at it now, a little older, I don't think that Charlie quite understood what we were doing. As far as I don't know that he got the whole Saturday Night Live Blues Brothers thing. I may be wrong. I just, looking back on it, I just don't know that he quite got it. And it's not to say that he wasn't capable of getting it. I think it was just he was so ingrained with the other tribute artists that were there and had quite frankly had met the real versions of a lot of them.
Right.
And for us to just come in and these young guys in their early 20s that are just constantly in high gear and running around and being really loud. I don't know that I often think to myself, I wish I could go back in time and just put my arms around him and tell him I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, listen, I think it might've been a generational thing. I don't know, but here's the deal with when we had Willie Nelson, Michael Moore come in.
Yeah.
And the first night he was there, we had our little TV backstage and we can watch the show. The show is being piped back to the dressing room. And when Willie Nelson guy goes on, Charlie leans up in his chair. He goes, "What in the hell is he wearing?" So I said, "What? He's wearing Willie Nelson. He's wearing holy jeans and he looks like hell. What the hell is he doing?" I said, "Well, Charlie, that's what Willie Nelson wears." "I don't care. When you go on stage, you should dress and look nice."
Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Generation thing, I think you hit it. Yeah. You hit it. Exactly.
But he did mix us up a lot too, Josh. I mean, he would call me Josh and you Jarrod quite often. I mean, I think that was pretty frequent. That's
true. But one thing I recall is one of our Christmas parties, and we always enjoyed the Christmas parties. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I always look forward to Dee getting us together there at the end of the year, just for a dinner and just to hang out. And I remember one of the first ones we went to, Charlie actually introduced us to Jennifer by name.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking,
what?
But I thought it was cool to have somebody who, I thought he was awesome, but didn't think that he, knew much or anything about me really. So that was cool.
Yeah. What about, how did you guys feel about working with Hank and the band?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We still, just like you, Lou, we still love those guys. I know it's just sad that we can't see each other, more often because, and again, I often think just like, you showed us a lot of patience. Hank showed us a lot of patience and grace. And I think some of that stemmed because, I think didn't Eddie have Hank on the drum kit like at age 11 or 12? So he kind of came up early on, kind of like we were. And I think he kind of related to us in that way and showed us a lot of grace also. Me and Jarrod last worked with Hank. Actually got to work with Hank Who am I missing, Jarrod? With
Pete.
Yeah,
was with us.
Evan. We got to do a gig in Kentucky, where that was in 2018, where all of us got together for a gig up there. They just wanted the Blues Brothers, which was kind of unusual. We had to, beef up the set a little bit from 20 minutes, to fill the time. But we had a lot of fun. But yeah, I hold all those guys, especially Hank, in just the highest regard.
Well, just like Nick, Hank's daughter Bailey was 3 or 4 years old at the time and grew up with all of us. So, we look at them as part of our family, extended family, even this many years later. If Hank or any of those guys called me and needed something, I would drop whatever I was doing to make sure I helped them out.
Yeah.
They were a great band. Great band.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I often sometimes I watch these things on YouTube where maybe there's a reunion of a past sitcom or something, and they talk about the chemistry. And we all had that. I mean, all of us who worked there at Memories, we had such a great chemistry. For the most part, there was 1 or 2 exceptions, but for the most part, we got along, and it was such a well-oiled machine for a lot of years. And I always said, and of course, my perspective with the Elvis show, I guess, is what I'm thinking. But there was, at the time, there was Jeff Watkins, who was one of the horn players. Of course, Hank was the band leader. And then there was Flash Grimes, or Teresa, who was the vocalist. And to me, those 3 could have taken any other people. Like Jeff could have taken any other horn players. Flash could have taken any other vocalist, and Hank could have taken any other rhythm section and taught them how to, and turn them into a great band and a great vocalist, great horn player. I mean, they were like the key people, is what I'm trying to say.
No doubt. They were all great. All great.
Unbelievable. I was actually, before we started, I was talking a little bit to Jarrod about, you get that every once in a while. Oh, I wish, especially when I watch these other Elvis guys, the younger guys doing it now. And I think, oh, I wish I could still do, I enjoyed doing what I did for so long. But really, when I think about, like you say, how long of a stretch it was, really, I have nothing to complain about. And I have a lot to be thankful for, because it really was an awesome opportunity. And, so, yeah.
And that too, Lou, you bring up a good point for me. I mean, besides,
excuse me, guys.
Besides missing, you all in the band and everyone else, we had such loyal followers at Memories, and those are the people that really made us what we are today, right? Because they were there, they were loyal to us, and some of those folks have been great friends of mine and Josh's throughout. And that's what I truly miss, not just being on stage, but missing the people that were there to see us.
Yeah, sure. I agree. Yeah, there was definitely some long-lasting relationships made over the years. And I'll post stuff frequently, old clips or whatever, and so many people, oh man, we miss Memory so much. We miss that time. We wish, so it was a give and take thing. We definitely made some good memories for a lot of people too. But yes, they were awesome to us, and it was a phenomenal time. What, that kind of brings up, I guess, one of my questions was, what do you enjoy most about what you do, as far as performing? And I guess I'm thinking, do you feed off of people's excitement, when people were really into it? I mean, I kind of feel like, as professionals, we always put our all into it. But there's something to be said for being in front of a crowd that is really into it, and where it pulls more out of you, I think, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. That definitely makes a better for us, and I think for the audience. And Josh can share the experience, but he and I both have had knee surgeries because of our performances in our shows, and those times that has happened have always been like really big crowds, and we were really into it along with the audience. So definitely, I think it helps.
Well, and then Jarrod, there was times where you weren't able to make it because of your job, I think mostly, and you had a fill-in. And oh my gosh, his name, I just had his name in my head. It just totally, Jesse. Yeah. And he did a great job as well. You know, of course, I was just going to say, I was so used to you. And at first it was like, you know, but he had his own kind of take on doing Elwood, and, you know, he did a good job, I think, filling in. But
I was fortunate to have him there to be able to do that. That was huge for me. So number one, that the Blues Brothers could be there, and Josh have someone to perform with, but just, you know, because of my job and things did happen, I'm very grateful for him for being able to do that.
Yeah, that was a blessing. It was a strange time because, you know, Jarrod was making advancements and stuff. He was kind of elevating himself with the sheriff's department, and, you know, that was always a priority, and I knew that from when we started this. But, you know, Jarrod also, it wasn't always easy, but, you know, allowed you know, us to find somebody as a feeling like that, just to keep it rolling. But yeah, you hit it on the head. He just had a different interpretation of it. Yeah, I think it was hard on him too, just because Jarrod was already the established, you know, resident Elwood, and everybody expected him, you know, to be as good, right, and to do it the same way Jarrod did, and he just, you know, that was a tough time, but glad that he was able to step in for Jarrod when he wasn't able to be there.
Well, and I think really the thing about Jesse was that he could have caved to that pressure and try to imitate Jarrod doing it, but he did it his own way, and it was unique, and it was I appreciated it more because it was definitely two different ways of doing it. But, you know, I'm glad he kind of did his own thing, you know, instead of imitating. Well, like I try to do the one night I filled it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We need to put too, Blue. We need to put that your that night you for Jarrod. We need to get that out in the world.
I have.
I recall you had a greater respect for my acrobatic skills after that.
Absolutely. First of all, I thought when it came up, I thought to myself, "Oh, I watch that act every night. I know what to do." And then I started thinking about, and I didn't, and I had to go watch videos. But yeah, after 20 seconds of doing that dance, I was way out of breath, and my show was very physical, so I didn't think I'd have any problem. But
yeah, no. I'm surprised you pulled that off because you had to do that, and then you had to go get ready for your show. I still how you did that.
I gotta say, as someone who was in the audience for that was one of the few times where the entire staff from the snack bar and the ticket stand and everybody came up into the audience to see that, and everyone just laughing their ass off.
Well, and there was one time I think I cracked Josh up because we were supposed to be doing something in sync, and then I knew I didn't remember it, so I just did my own thing. And I don't know what I was doing, but you could tell. But it was either that, because it was a last-minute thing, I think. You know, most of the time, Jarrod, you had notice of, you know, not being able to be there, but for some reason this was last minute, and we were going to cut the act.
Right.
So I offered to jump in, but once I offered, I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, why did I'm glad you did, Lou. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And that kind of is one of our things, doing the Elvis as many times as you have, and you're able to have multiple songs that you can change up. But Josh and I were kind of locked in to our set list, right?
Right.
So each night when we went on, it was our goal to do something a little different or make the band laugh. If we could make Hank laugh or someone around, make one another laugh, we knew we had a good night, and it kept it
Which
fresh
happened.
for us.
Yeah.
Say that again, Josh.
I said, which happened a lot, actually.
Yeah. Well, and then, I think I know how you guys feel, but as far as working with the other people who played other, that was awesome. Besides working with the band and how awesome they were, I mean, other performers like Larry Branson and Joe Passion, and that was awesome too. I think working with all those, it was funny because people used to say, I don't know who, but thinking about, oh yeah, Lou produced the show. Well, first of all, Hank organized the music. All I did, basically, everybody knew what they were doing. All I did was, you go first, you go second, you go third, and that was it. So the person had their act down and they knew what they were doing, and then Hank put the music together. So I guess that's producing the show.
Written and directed by Lou.
Right. So
I think you might as well have gotten a producer credit, Lou. I mean, I remember vividly. I mean, you may or may not remember this, but you and Kenny had brought, I can't remember if Jarrod was in the room or not, but I remember you setting me down and telling me, it's okay to take a breath.
yeah.
Because early on, and I've even gone back to look at some of the early videos when we were up there. I mean, me and Jarrod, I mean, we kind of didn't. I mean, we were just like, it was so fast that some of the jokes to me didn't quite land because we're so like, like this the whole time. And I think that was just partly adrenaline. It was being in a production like that we were not familiar with, and we kind of had to ease into it. And like you and Kenny, I just remember saying, Josh, it's okay. Take a deep breath. It'll come. So that was, I mean, that's one example right there of you being a producer and help. I mean, Mark did stuff like that for us too. I have a fondness. If you're talking cast members and people that we worked with, the original like legends that she first had, we were fortunate and blessed enough to be on that first roster, but it was us, it was you, it was Kenny, Mark, and Larry. So I have just an overwhelming. Oh yeah.
And Christine, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave Christine out, but I just have most of my memories and the fondness that I have always goes back to that original group of artists.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What's interesting about that, I think most, besides, other than you guys, because we knew you guys already, but I found Kenny online. Larry online. Of course, Christine was in house. And who was the other?
Mark.
Mark, it was originally, Mark would talk to me, hey, see if you can get Dee to, agree to do a legend show. And so he kind of brought up the idea initially. But so the first few, besides you guys and Mark, I found online. But after that, it was almost like a referral thing. Larry knew Lou Nelson or whatever, and then people would, it just snowballed. But a funny thing about and I'm not going to say who it was, but it was kind of a sensitive the band was a little sensitive at the time because they had been the ones being featured, and they were so awesome. You know, they were each so talented and could carry a show of their own for the most part. But the attendance start dropping off a little bit, and that's when I brought up what Mark had been bringing up to me for a while to Dee about the Legend show. There were other details, but whatever. So it was kind of like one of the reasons was an idea to maybe do something different, and not really thinking this is how it was going to affect the band. So it was a little touchy at first. So one of the first people who came in, I brought him back and introduced him to the band. And I said, so-and-so, this is, Hank, he's the band leader. And the first thing he said to Hank was, what I need you to do is play fast. And when I point you, play faster. Like, he didn't even say hello or anything.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, but anyway.
Without naming, I may know who that is, but I'm not going to name it.
It was just like, okay, that wasn't a great thing to say right now, But anyway, yeah, I was just going to say thank you so much for doing this and spending this time talking. I know, as I said, there's a lot of folks that are going to be really love this and enjoy watching this. So thank you for your time. And I'm actually going to put maybe a couple of clips in there. But
I think we need to go through your library just to find us, because my kids love seeing this now, right? Like, my youngest is 8, so he missed a large part of these shows, but now he loves hearing about it, and he himself is now, trying to be a little entertainer. So I wish we had some more clips. If you got 1 second, I'd like to show you one picture that I think you'll appreciate. I don't know if you can see that. That's little Asher.
Wow.
And he had a school project that he had to do. And what did he want to do? He wanted to do it on Elvis. So there you go, Lou. You've awesome. Influenced another younger one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, actually, it's funny. I have. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just going to say, hopefully we will be fortunate enough to work together again sometime, and sometime soon. That's my hope anyway.
Absolutely.
We could do.
Yeah, hope so. Have to get in shape though.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I don't know if it's available for me to get in shape anymore, but I'm in a shape now, but it's not a great one. But yeah,
I think
awesome. So,
but yeah, if not for you, you were a major influence on Dee. I just to take a chance on us, these 20-year-old kids. So I don't think I've told you that before, but I think I speak for Jarrod. We appreciate you telling her let's do this. So if not for you, I don't think we would have had the opportunity and the opportunities that we've had.
Yeah, and stood by us through it all, and provided constructive criticism for us to make our show better. And of course, we looked at you as how you did your show and remote role model to us, and how you told jokes and how you delivered. We looked up to that. We definitely learned from you, and I think we owe you a lot of our thanks for that.
Oh, thank you, guys. Well, awesome. Well, thank you once again. And of course, I feel the same about you guys. I feel like you're family, and of course, we don't live as close as we used to each other, but it would be awesome to be able to perform together in the future. So
yeah, love the opportunity.
Thank you again. Hey, I might even put together a show, and maybe a Legend show up here sometime, and that'd be fun.
Do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh and Jarrod and Nick. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Well, have a good one.
See you guys.
See you.
Hey, it's the Vuto podcast. What? Like you got something better to do?